Hey future York students!
I'm Sidel.
And I'm Neetha.
And welcome to the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies Program Chat Series.
We want you to know that here in LA&PS, you will study what you love and learn what you need.
In this chat, you'll be hearing from future professors as well as current students about the program.
What it has to offer you, like internship opportunities.
And what your first year in the program may look like.
Alright, should we get started?
Yeah, let's get started.
Enjoy, everybody.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another one of our Liberal Arts Professional Studies program chats. Today, we're going to be talking about one of our most interesting programs here in the faculty, our program in Health and Society. First, I do want to say a few words about the land that York University is located on. This meeting is virtual, and because of that, we are not all actually gathered in the same space. York's land acknowledgement might not represent the territory that you are currently on. And I would ask that if that is the case, that you each take the responsibility to acknowledge the traditional territory you are on and its current treaty holders. As a member of the York University community, I recognize that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships with the territories upon which York University campuses are located that precede the establishment of York University. York University acknowledges its presence on the traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. The area known as Takaranto has been taken care of by the Anishinaabe Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, and the Métis. It is now home to many Indigenous peoples. We acknowledge the current treaty holders, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. This territory is subject of the Dish with One Spoon Wampa Belt Covenant, an agreement to peacefully share and care for the Great Lakes region. Now I'd like to invite a very special guest that we have here today from our Health and Society program, Professor Nielsen. Good afternoon, Professor Nielsen.
Thanks, Adam, and welcome to our chat about the Health and Society program. So one thing to note is that our program is located within the Department of Social Science, and as might be obvious, we're located in the Faculty of Liberal Arts and Professional Studies. So what's this program all about? Well, one obvious connection is that we're thinking about health as it intersects with society. So therefore, a lot of the questions that we ask about health and illness and healing really is about getting to the human dimension, about health as a lived experience. So in order to do this, we're really interested in what are the greater meanings that can be extracted from lived experience of health and illness. And we do so by turning to different disciplines in the arts and humanities. But not only that, we're really interested in the experience of health through social structures, through systems. And always there's this question of power. Who has it? Who needs it? Where is power implicated in these very vital conversations about health, illness, and healing? As might be obvious, then we turn to sociology, we turn to anthropology, history to give us insight into social structures. So we really take a multidisciplinary approach. And one way to think about our program is that we turn to insights from the arts and humanities, we turn to insight from the social sciences, but actually some of us even turn to insights from the fine arts. And we really look at creativity as being a vital part of exploring not only health and illness as a lived experience, but also where creativity meets social structures and institutions. Always undergirding our conversation about health as it meets society is a social justice framework. So if you're curious about, invested in, interested in social justice, you should come join us. I'll turn the virtual mic then over to my colleague, Professor Kenton Croker, to really give an overview of what the Health and Society program looks like from years 1, 2, 3, and then hopefully into 4th year when you take an honors degree.
Thanks, Amelia. So I'm going to spend just a moment going through some of the nuances of the HESO or Health and Society degree structure. So one of the most important things to remember about Health and Society is that we have a general education course called Social Science 1801. That's Health Controversies. So that's a course that goes on for an entire year. That's 2 terms, and it introduces students to all sorts of different aspects of challenges, controversies, historical ones, contemporary ones, and gives a really kind of overview to the issues that most of the faculty in health and society work with. So it's a general education course, first year course. It's quite large. It's got about 400 students in it, lots of tutorials. So there's lots of hands-on experience with TAs as well. But the important thing about this course is that it serves not only as a first year credit towards your health and society degree, either a major or a minor, but it is also a course for general education for all sorts of different courses, both in the humanities, the social sciences, and even in the natural sciences as well. So it serves a lot of different purposes, and we strongly encourage students, if they have even the slightest interest in some of the questions, controversies that we're working with, if they are interested in those things, they should really take that course. So if in your second year you've decided that you want to move on in a HESO program, then it's really quite easy. We have a very stepwise curriculum that includes at the second year another year-long course called Critical Study of Health and Society, which introduces students to some theories and kind of a toolkit of methodologies that you need to work with in order to make it through your degree. And then there's an additional 3 credits that are required, so for a total of 9 credits of HESO courses in your second year. And again, while the first year courses are very large, one of the really great things about the Health and Society program is the number of students within the courses drops off quite quickly. So you really get a lot of one-on-one contact with your professors, starting in the second year, which really max out at about 100 students, but really at the 3,000 level, the courses become seminars and they cap at 35 students. So you'll usually see 30 to 35 students in courses like this. So in your third year, what's required is the 3.0 research methods course called Strategies of Social Science Research, and then another 15 HESO credits. And those credits come from both courses that are offered by Health and Society faculty in the Department of Social Science. And then we also have a quite substantial list of courses in all sorts of different departments: anthropology, history, sociology. And so what that means is that students have a really wide selection of courses that they can take even outside of the Health and Society program, faculty members that they can use to complete their required 18 credits total. And so that's the pathway to get to a 90 credit or what's called an ordinary Bachelor of Arts degree with a HESO major. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Professor Jeannie Samuel, to talk a little bit about the other degrees that HESO offers.
Thanks very much. Let me just speak a little bit more about our other options that we offer through HESO. So should you want to go a little bit deeper, and we highly recommend this pathway, we also offer what we call an honors BA. And this is really a pathway that allows students to delve deeper into the Health and Society program. You'll see from the slide that we have a few different required courses as well as some electives that you're able to take. And the important thing I think about this particular pathway is it opens up all sorts of doors for students in terms of what could be next. Certainly with an ordinary BA as well, but with an honors BA, students have the opportunity not only to go into the job market, but also to continue with further studies. So we have many HESO honor students who go on to all sorts of graduate programs, as well as things like compressed nursing, masters in public health programs, law school, etc. So it's a very interesting way to get an in-depth, rigorous academic education about an exciting set of topics, and also open doors for students into next steps. We also have a minor program, and this is an opportunity for those of you who perhaps are interested in health and society issues, but are already committed to another pathway, another degree program. HESO can be an excellent complement to an existing degree. And in order to obtain a minor in HESO, you would do our first and second year courses, as well as a certain number of third year courses. And with that, you would have what we call a minor. And so students at York will do that with the complement of a limited number of fourth-year credits, and they'll do it to add to existing programs they may be taking. For example, the disaster management program, health and society minor can be an interesting mix. People in humanities might take health and society as a minor. So it's a way to round out a degree and give you another area of expertise and knowledge that you can use both to deepen your education as well as to open up various doorways for oneself as they move forward. Okay, I'd also like to just raise awareness about our fabulous student association. We have something called the Health and Society Student Association, which is extremely active and vibrant. I think they play an exciting role in our program. It's an opportunity for students to build connections with one another, to support each other. They do all sorts of events that are both designed to help support student learning, faculty meet and greet, where you have a chance to meet your faculty members, different kinds of workshops to help support students outside of their classes. But more than anything, I think it is an incredibly exciting place to meet other students who are doing the same program that you might be doing, and it gives students the opportunity to just form a connection and a sense of place here in HESA. So we really recommend involvement in HESA as you move along.
Thanks so much, Jeannie, and Kenton as well for the great overview of what the HESO program looks like. So often we get questions about, well, what kind of courses would I have the option to take in a program called Health and Society? And what I was struck with when I first joined this program was the diversity of the different types of courses. So if you're interested in more of the creative realm, there's an option to take courses with graphic novels. If you're very much motivated by questions around activism, we have a course for you. If you're really thinking about social determinants of health, but more than that, you know that you want the courses that you take to be really reflective of our contemporary reality, where we need to question social justice issues through an intersectional framework. We have courses around race and health, global health and development. And even if you have questions about the role of drugs, pharmaceutical and otherwise in society, we have a course for you. In addition to that, we have courses that are offered in the area of expertise by our professors. So I'm going to turn the mic over to first, Professor Kenton Croker to talk about one specific course that really focuses on the intersection of history and medicine. And then I'll ask Professor Samuel to talk a bit about our placement course and the role of experiential education. So you'll see in the remarks of our professors that there's opportunities for experiential education in the classroom. And then there's a whole realm of opportunity for experiential education outside the classroom. So first I'll ask Professor Croker.
Thanks, Amelia. So I have actually been in the Health and Society program for just about 3 years now. I've been at York a long time, but I'm a recent arrival to HESO. And one of the first things I did is take up teaching a course on the history of medicine and society in North America. So this is a history of medicine course dedicated specifically to North America since contact. And one of the things that I emphasize is how plants work as an interface between the multiple cultures that have engaged each other in North America since contact. Because quite frankly, if you were ill in the 19th century or earlier, you pretty much had to rely on plants. And so I like to try to give students an experience to try to understand what this is like. So one of the ways that I've done that is I've encouraged them to look through, I have an assignment where they look through medical botanical texts that were published about 200 years ago, almost exactly 200 years ago, in fact. And I encourage them to use the illustrations in these texts, plus maybe an app on their phone, to try and find medicinal plants that surround them almost everywhere. be it in their backyards, in neighborhood parks, or really just growing along the street somewhere. So what I've got pictured here is Sanguinaria canadensis, or bloodwort. It might look familiar. This is, of course, a 200-year-old illustration, but the plant hasn't changed so much. Beautiful flowers in the springtime. I've got a couple of these in my front yard. So this illustration was published in 1817, and the root, which you can see depicted here, is blood red, and that was the medically active part of the plant. And doctors praised it as an emetic. In that case, what it meant was it caused extreme vomiting if you took a substantial amount of it. But in smaller doses, it functioned like digitalis, in the sense that it stimulated the heart and increased the pulse rate. So it was described as an effective tonic means of relieving some of the symptoms of all sorts of condition, from rheumatism to jaundice to typhoid to influenza. So what students do is they choose a medicinal plant, they find it, they research it, and they produce a little report on it. One of the best things is the selfies that they take with the plant in their assignment. But it's really a lot of fun, and it gives students an opportunity to think differently about the flora that surrounds them. It also, because of the really multicultural dimensions of the classroom, it gives students a chance to exchange the different kinds of medicinal and traditional remedies that they are already familiar with in their own cultures and in their own families. So as an example, one student introduced me to the medical properties of plantain. So when he talked about plantain, I thought he was actually talking about the banana-like fruit you can buy at No Frills. But in fact, he was actually talking about this plant that his wife taught him to make a poultice out of, that you can use to apply to wounds on your skin, and it keeps them clean and also helps them to heal. But this is a plant that I had been seeing for my entire life in Toronto, just growing out of the gutter. And indeed, I learned something from my students that day, that indeed the plants that we see surrounding us every day and often don't think of as anything but weeds were in many cases very, very important plants for all sorts of traditional healing from various cultures. So now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Jeannie Samuel, to talk a little bit about our placement course, 4144.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to just follow up on that exciting course. I think that there's all sorts of fabulous things you can learn in that course with a very different approach. One of the great things I think about HESO is our diversity of courses that we offer and the different approaches to learning that you'll be able to engage in. So in your fourth year, there is a class that is required, and it allows students to actually apply outside of the classroom the learning that you've been acquiring throughout your 3 years in HESO. So this happens through a full year, and students come into the classroom and spend a little bit of time in the classroom, really reviewing different kinds of work-ready skills, as well as the kinds of learning they have consolidated during the program. And they identify some of the areas that they are hoping to build their skills in outside of the classroom, and some of their learning goals, potentially their career goals. And after that, students are placed with either a community-based health or social service organization somewhere in the Greater Toronto area. And the places that people go to do their, basically what we call internships, are extremely diverse, and we're proud of the various different types of locations so students are able to have learning experiences. And they spend somewhere between 75 and 150 placement hours, depending on the year and circumstances, engaging in some kind of hands-on project that's supervised by a community partner. So these projects could be things like helping to conduct a program evaluation. It might be doing a community-based research project in collaboration with their partners. It might be doing some kind of health communication intervention, but it's all based on the idea of hands-on learning. So it's the opportunity to really take what you've learned in the classroom and actually practice it in real life. And we find that for HESO students who take part in this course, it often opens up all sorts of opportunities for them moving forward. Some of them have been hired back for summer jobs. Others have been hired back for longer term contracts, for paid contracts. They put it on their resumes when they are applying to other jobs. They're able to use their supervisors as positive references at the end of the time. They use it when they apply to other kinds of graduate programs. So it has all sorts of benefits, both in terms of learning as well as helping to add to that repertoire of things that people use when they're trying to move out of an undergraduate degree. It's a bit of a transition course in that way. So it's, I think, an exciting example of how you can get outside of the classroom some experiential education related to health and society right here in this program.
So, of course, prospective students ask, well, what can I do with my HESO degree? So Health and Society, our program, is designed to give students a broad-based introduction to the multiple interactions to health and society at many, many different levels. But of course, our students do go on to do lots of really exciting things after their degree. First and foremost, they often go on to do further, more advanced degrees in public health, in law, in social sciences, both at York and in universities across North America. They also, not surprisingly, end up in medical and paramedical programs, so community health and nursing. And then a number of them also take up careers in health administration, in health promotion, and health marketing, and lots of them produce all sorts of really, really interesting projects along the way, including visual exhibits and websites. So if you want more information on what some of our HESO students have done, I encourage you to go to the Department of Social Science website and look at student testimonials and have a look at the amazing things our students have accomplished in their time in our program.
So if you're maybe watching this from home or a classroom and you're wondering what to do next, we'd really invite you to take the first step and sign up for Health Controversies. It's our first course in the program, 1801. We always have award-winning instructors, senior scholars involved with the course. We rotate who teaches that course from year to year, but no matter who's teaching it, the topics are interesting, they're controversial, and they really animate the kind of conversations that we want you to have in this program. So if you're at all hesitant, just sign up for 1801, because even if for some reason you don't go on to do a health and society degree, you'll have your gen ed credit under your belt. So it's a really good pragmatic choice, as well as we hope a really good interesting choice for you, as we think we can absolutely convince you to stick with us for a 3 or 4 year degree. But if you have more questions, you should reach out to us. And certainly we're easy to Google. I think HESO York brings up our program homepage for me. There's lots of descriptive information there in terms of the courses we offer, if you're really curious about numbers and that type of thing, in terms of placing some of these ideas to the exact course. But also you could reach out to our program coordinator. Each year that tends to rotate. So I think that right now, Professor Croker has generously volunteered, should you have any more questions, yes, you can email any of us, but I know he'd be happy to answer questions directly. So I think we'll probably leave things there and just leave it with, this is the first part of the chat or the conversation, and certainly hearing from you will be the second part of this conversation, and we would really like to hear from you just as soon as you're ready to reach out. Thanks, everyone.
Hope you enjoyed the program chat, everyone.
If you have any questions about our LA&PS programs, be sure to visit our website to learn more.
And make sure to stay in touch with us for a chance to win a $100 gift card at the York Bookstore. The link to our website is in the description box below.
You can also send your questions to us, the LA&PS student recruitment team.
We'd love to hear from you, so send us an email at goyork@yorku.ca.
And we look forward to seeing you all on campus next year.
Bye.
Bye.